Hello and welcome to lesson number 1. Here we are going to learn a few basic things about fear. You see, fear is the first thing connected with starting an addiction and getting out of it. It's 100% sure that in all the years you have been addicted, fear was always around you. I'm not talking about the fear of illnesses, God forbid, but the fear that you will be one moment without the addictive substance or behavior. Now, how many times have you counted how many cigarettes have left in a box? Or if there is enough food and drinks to which you are addicted to? How many times just thinking that you are going to quit your addiction has almost paralyzed you? So the first thing I want to talk to you about is fear. Why? Because anyone who wants to completely recover from addiction should start the process when he has self-confidence and has no fear of getting into the rehab process. Now, most addicts are not afraid of the addiction, although it is clear to them that it can lead to a serious illnesses and even premature death. In fact, most addicts are more afraid to stop the addiction than to catch a serious illness. I want you to understand there is no person who is not afraid of something. Even the brave one is afraid of something. The purpose of this lesson is to let you look straight into the eyes of the fear associated with your addiction and see that in fact it does not exist in reality at all, but only in the imagination of the mind. Okay, there are two types of fears. One is realistic fear. The second is imaginary fear, which comes with thoughts. So, what is real fear? In case where there is a real danger to life, people respond to real fear in one of the three following ways. In the first one, they become immobile without being able to respond. Some can also pee in their pants. The second, they will fight for their lives. The third, they will run away immediately. Now, situations like a soldier who is in the battlefield, an accident that is going to happen right in front of your eyes, an earthquake, and a tsunami are examples for situation of real fears. And the person who is in such situation will respond in one of the three options: freeze in place, fight for his life, or run away. But the majority of the population does not inquire a life-threatening situation on a daily basis. And the fear associated with addiction and rehab is unrealistic, and it resides only in the imagination. So what is imaginary fear? Imaginary fear is an unrealistic perception of life. The imaginary fear can only exist when a person has a hard time dealing with the reality of his life, and he prefers to live in the imagination of the thoughts. The imaginary fear survives from what happens in the past and from thoughts about what might happen in the future. That fear is based on something that does not exist now in reality, and therefore it is 100% imaginary fear. Imaginary fear causes intangible suffering that does not exist in reality, but only in the imagination and in the thoughts. And thoughts are divided into two. One is memory and the other is imagination. In fact, both are considered imaginary thoughts because both do not exist right now. The memory, which is in the subconscious mind, develops on our experiences from the past. And the imagination shows us the future to come. So the basis for imaginary fear is only in the imagination. Now, let me tell you this. If you want to live in the reality of your life, there is no room for imaginary fear, because what you are afraid of, what has already happened to you in the past, or what has not happened yet in the future. I want you to know that fear is not your enemy. In fact, it can be your best friend. After all, only a true friend tells the truth, and fear tells you the truth straight in your face. Fear also reflects what is important to you now. All people share three types of imaginary fears. These fears prevent people from getting what they really want. In case of addiction and rehab, the imaginary fears they face are: number one, fear of change. Look, it's very convenient to stay in the same place and continue the addiction, rather than the desire to change it. Number two, fear of failure and rejection. That is, crippling fear that leads to hesitation to act. Then, an addict tries several times to quit and fails. He has a fear that next time it will not work either. 3. The fear of social image. Oh, what my friends who are addicts like me will say. They probably will not want to be my friends anymore because I'm no longer addicted like them. I repeat, these fears exist in all of us. For the most part, people do not change what they need to change because of the fear of doing something different and unfamiliar. There's also fear of failure, rejection, and fear from social image. If you had the courage to stop being afraid, you could conquer any imaginable goal. To summarize this lesson, I have an important footnote. Despite what I told you in this lesson, an addict who thinks about rehab feels real and paralyzing fear of not being happy. In fact, behind every addiction lies the same fear, a fear that we are going to have negative feelings and thoughts. And happiness? Happiness is the purpose of life. It is joy, enthusiasm, calmness, and hope. It is the smile that's smeared on our faces, the laughter, the vibration, the heartbeat. Happiness is our security, peace of mind. Happiness is love. In the next lesson, we will learn about the belief related to addiction and rehab. Because if you believe in something, there's no reason to be afraid, right? See you later.